It says going live. We're live. Okay. Let me put this like this so we can see Nom's pretty face. All right, Nom, can we see your pretty face? Can you move over just a little bit?
How's that?
But move your mic a little bit.
How's that?
That's perfect. Okay. We are live. Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Okay. For all three people who are listening, watching. Okay, so we'll start off with Ed, home inspector. He didn't give us any specific questions to ask, but we're pretty good about knowing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All kinds of great questions to ask a home inspector.
yeah.
Right. Excuse me. Do you want to introduce him?
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
Because you're Patty. You're Patty's guest.
okay.
Well, thank you, Patty.
Yeah, I've been in business a long time.
22 years.
22. Okay. Yeah. And really, you work all over the
Okay.
Bay Area, just
Mostly Marin.
Are you all
Okay.
ready?
Okay.
I figured you know him because you introduced him.
Who? No, exactly.
Okay. 3, 2. Well, welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Patty Cohen of Compass Realty and Nom Fawn of Pacific Private Money. I gotta make sure I
Hello,
get that. Yeah. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Use that number to answer the trivia questions for a 5-pack tanning certificate given away during this show. And in fact, now the sun is starting to shine. I think people want to get the tan on. So check out Tan Bella because they're the ones who are sponsoring the certificate, which is worth over $100. And there are 2 locations in San Francisco and 1 in Marin. That's Tan Bella Tanning Salon. Today's trivia theme is movie songs. We'll see if you know that you're married. Now, Patty, you invited a guest on.
I did. I invited Ed Gibson, who is a home inspector in the Bay Area, mostly based in Marin. And for 22 years, he's been inspecting properties and really has a very nice nature with clients, both sellers and buyers.
Oh, good.
And he's very thorough because you really want someone that's not going to kill a deal, but not going to miss something. And there's a fine balance
That's a very
between
good
all
point.
of that.
Yeah, true.
And somebody where buyers will trust them and sellers will trust them at the same time. The main thing is you need agents to trust them. So that's why I
Sure.
picked Ed.
Okay.
Yeah. Ed
Well,
Gibson.
thanks, Patty.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ed Gibson.
Yeah. Well, welcome to The Best of Investing. So who wants to ask him the first question? Okay.
Well, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So what can a seller do to prepare for an inspection? Now, just know Ed will inspect anytime, but most of the time when he's called upon is for a home sale. And
Right.
these days, it's usually sellers that are calling as opposed to buyers the way it used to be.
Yeah, that's right. When I started doing inspections 20 odd years ago, 95% of the jobs were for buyers and sellers didn't get home inspections. Nowadays, it's quite the opposite. I think probably more like 90% sellers have
Yeah.
pre-listing inspections.
Okay, so is the
So-
idea that the seller would call you to get an inspection to be able to hand that report to the buyer?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
For that reason and others, it's really an effort of good faith for a seller to put together a disclosure package that includes as much information about the house as they can dig up. So
Mhm.
Now, here's a question. Now, and then Patty, maybe you could do this as the agent. This is no slight toward Ed at all, but when a seller gives you a package already,
Yeah.
do you trust that inspection? Or do
Well,
you say, well, yeah, we want to get our own?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, because we kind of all know who's good for sellers, who's good for buyers,
Yeah.
and pretty much everybody has to. They have to report what they see. But yes, I mean, but a lot of times there's 2 inspections. Buyer gets one and a seller gets one because the buyer comes along and it's maybe not about trust, but they just do it anyway.
Well, or
Hmm.
maybe the seller's inspector missed something.
Exactly.
essentially, yeah.
Right.
Especially if it comes from Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah.
But Ed doesn't do that. He
Yeah.
doesn't do that.
we look, every inspector looks at a house with a slightly different approach, and so there can be different findings among inspectors. But putting together a full disclosure package with a pest inspection, a home inspection, possibly other inspections,
Sewer roof pool.
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
tends to shorten up contingency periods for the escrow process. It's put out as much information as you can as a seller.
And do you only work in residential?
No, I also
That's
do
your
commercial
commercial?
inspections.
How large a project can you do?
I'm insured up to 50,000 square feet, but I can get a rider that exceeds that if necessary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I've
that's
done
pretty
apartment
substantial.
buildings, schools,
Wow.
hotels.
That probably
yeah.
takes a while if you have to do 50,000 feet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially if they're
would be
different
a
units.
multiple day project. Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Mhm.
And just to interrupt for a minute, like why has it changed from 90% sellers,
Yep.
90% buyers? Because we used to use professional publishing contract, and now we use the CARS, California Association of Realtors contracts, and that is as is based on what is known at the time of sale. So buyer, when you make that offer, you've seen Ed's inspection. You can't come back to us for any of those things.
Hmm.
If there is no inspection, we've got a grinding 17-day escrow period with inspections and, requests for $50,000 here and there, and
Right.
it's not pretty.
And how often do you get a request for a rush?
They're all around.
They're all
Yeah, they're all around.
Yeah.
This is real estate land.
Well, that's a dumb
Kind of like
question.
private money too.
Yeah.
It's always a rush.
I
Well, that for
try
sure.
to turn the reports around in 24 to 48 hours.
Really? That
but
fast?
Right now, I'm so booked out that I'm a few days behind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so
And-
busy right now.
We trade in appointments like they're baseball cards. We'll send out notes to everybody. I need anybody to cancel an appointment they have to cancel. Well, I got
Oh,
I got
yeah.
a buyer. Yeah.
Very good. Hey, we're gonna cut to our first
Oh,
commercial
sorry.
break here. Trivia questions are movie song. Excuse me. The song "Eye of the Tiger" came from which movie? All right. That's Patty knows this one. All right. Call 888-912-1190. If you are the first caller with the correct answer, you're gonna win that tanning certificate. Again, the question. Thank you. I'm losing my mind here. The song "Eye of the Tiger" came from which movie? And when we come back, Nom's going to sing it for us. 888-912-1190. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
And dance.
Yeah.
So Ed, you didn't even get to answer the question, but
Right,
know,
right.
you would.
Yeah, I have plenty of questions on inspections.
Yeah.
Like what do you inspect? And
Yeah,
how
I
often
can
is there
give you
difference?
of give you an overview of what a home inspection is defined as,
Mhm.
what
good.
to look for in a home inspector,
Mhm.
as far as
Yeah.
credentials and
Yep.
and like that. So yeah,
Perfect.
I've kind of got
You can
that.
cover like 1.5 more segments on inspections.
Yeah.
I'm always curious. I mean, it's,
I'm happy to come back. Yeah, there's a lot to know about it.
yeah. Also different times of year too. Aren't there different sort of things you're looking for or
Well, we're kind of looking for the same things, and it's just
Some become more
if it's
obvious.
summertime, it's a little harder to look for roof leakage.
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we're looking at more at evidence and
Mhm.
doing a little.
Just take a hose and go. I'll come back in
Yeah.
about 6 hours.
Where in the winter you have an umbrella
Yeah.
and you know immediately.
This is a really good time of year to look for leaks.
Sure. Did you and Mark get that email I sent about Bart? You guys said you
Yeah.
responded.
Oh yeah, no, but that's interesting. I think that's really something we should look at.
Okay.
It's been one of the
Kind of figured you guys are usually very good in responding quickly. Okay.
That's just Edward.
He doesn't get it. It doesn't matter. Right? Okay. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown here, along with Nom Fon and Patty Cohen, our special guest Ed Gibson, who is a home inspector. First trivia question was: the song "Eye of the Tiger" came from which movie? Patty, you said you know
No, I was just flashed into singing it in my head,
that.
but I can't remember the movie.
Okay, sing it for us.
No, no, that Nom wants to. I'm gonna steal his
yeah,
show.
No, that's okay. But I know the movie.
Yep, go ahead.
Rocky, right?
Rocky.
Is Rocky
Rocky 2.
3?
Rocky
Oh.
3.
I was gonna say Rocky, but it kind of did.
Clubber Lang? Yeah, that was.
Clover
Mr.
Lane, that's
T.
right. Exactly. Very good, Mr. Wow.
I
Yeah.
remember the song, but didn't know the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. Coming up. Mohawk.
He'll knock you into tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith. Very good. Holy smokes. Okay. So, Nom, you had a question for Ed, who is a home
Yes.
inspector.
So what's typically are you looking when you're doing an inspection, what are the major areas that you're inspecting?
Well, by our widely recognized standards for the process, we are looking. A home inspection is defined as a limited visual inspection of the major systems and components of the home. So that would include the roof, the exterior envelope of the home, the site, the drainage characteristics, structure components where available,
Do you look at
plumbing, electrical, heating,
Okay. Do you
air
open up the
conditioning.
panels and all that? And,
Yes,
and-
panels,
I bet you've seen
furnaces.
some scary stuff.
Yes. You know, I had a pretty good sized rodent that had arced inside a panel one day.
Oh, is that right? Didn't it
Yeah.
smell?
No,
It was
No,
a long time in there.
it had been there for a while. So.
Smelled at one point.
Yeah,
It
why at one
used to
point?
smell,
Yeah. Fried rat.
Yeah.
You go,
So-
what is it? You say, what is this paperclip doing instead of a fuse, right? Or a copper pen?
Well, yeah, copper panning.
Yeah.
We call those a Lincoln fuse.
Lincoln fuse, exactly.
So yeah, we've really, I think probably the main areas of concern are obviously substandard construction, but water intrusion, drainage issues, foundation issues, water intrusion, whether it's from the roof or the siding or a window or groundwater, for instance.
Now, is your job to put an estimated price tag on it too, or just
No.
say, okay, just say
No.
these are the defects we found?
No, I just define the defects and make recommendations for repair or
Gotcha.
remediation.
Whereas a pest control guy would actually say it will cost, $20,000 for termites.
Yeah,
Exactly.
generally speaking, pest control operators are also contractor operators. So they're
Yeah.
licensed to do the repairs that they recommend. Home inspection is a slightly different. We look at such a wide array of systems that it would really just be impossibly time consuming for us to estimate all those different things because
Okay.
we have 50 different kinds of heating systems.
Also, you have, as I say, no dog in the fight, so you don't have from
Right,
that end,
right.
it's not an
Well,
incentive to say,
there-
oh, you
yeah,
need
there's
millions of
that
dollars
too.
worth of work. Yeah.
So our professional associations, the two largest that come to mind are ASHI and CREA. That's American Society of Home Inspectors, California Real Estate Inspection Association. Are the most widely recognized written standards for home inspection and code of ethics that we follow. So we're disallowed from gaining financially from a transaction beyond 2 years, or up to 2 years.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we really aren't allowed to work on a property or
Okay.
provide cost estimates. And it can be misleading to a client if I say, oh, that's $10,000, and it turns out to be much more because there are often so many different opinions and methods to a given repair.
Gotcha.
And by the way, he's got a tough situation because buyers ask those questions all the time.
Sure.
And you kind of go, oh, it's not so much. And like, what's not so much? 5,000. Well, buyer gets something for 5,000. They freak out sometimes,
Right.
Yeah, and I try to, sidestep those questions
Sure.
as best I can, and just urge people that they need to be prepared to get tradespeople to give them actual hard cost estimates.
So how often, Patty, because you're the realtor, you could answer this question. How often do you get an inspection and you go, "What? I got to talk to this inspector. What's he thinking?"
Not so much what is he
Or,
thinking,
well,
more about like, what does this
This
mean?
is radio. You got to make it exciting.
Yeah. Well, no, buyers are like, oh my God, like they could freak out about a little thing like
Right.
a latch. And they're like, because there's so many things, but you add them all up, a handyman, it's a day for a handyman, So most of the time they want to talk to an inspector, like, is this a big deal or not? Like, what does this actually mean? Water under my house, some freak out, some don't,
That's actually a very good one.
That's an important piece of the puzzle. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
but I always encourage clients to be present for the inspection, particularly buyers.
Mhm.
So when they read my report, they can see my smiling face, kind
Mm-hmm.
of explaining things in a non-threatening way, because it's just a house.
Yeah.
All houses need repairs.
Sure.
The black and white report can be pretty daunting, and I see people's eyes roll back in their heads after giving them a summary on the house. But I always, it's just a house.
It's in all caps. Your
Yeah,
report,
yeah.
exclamation
They go,
points.
Yeah.
this foundation? No, it's not in concrete. It's in sand. It's better than concrete.
Yes. Great.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I was just going to say, you were commenting about the buyers, how they can freak out.
Mhm.
But I think as a realtor too, if you're going in and showing, older homes, which Marin has a lot of, then part of it is creating the right expectation too, right? Like
Exactly.
saying, listen, this home is 40 years old. There's going to be a lot of flaws in it, but that's most of the homes you're going to be looking at are going to be aged homes. So there's going to be an inspection report that comes with it. So be prepared.
Yeah.
And don't freak out.
Exactly.
It's just-
And
Yeah.
at the same time, I always have to like judge my buyer, like, are they sophisticated at all. Some of these people are like piece of cake. I've remodeled and
Right.
flipped homes for 40 years. Some people are first-time buyers. Horrible. But at the same time, I have to be really careful. I have to stay in my lane because I'm not a contractor,
Right.
and I can't say, oh, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal, because I've done 750 escrows, never had a lawsuit, but I know what happens on that witness stand. Like, so, well, my realtor said it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And how
Don't
often,
make yourself the expert.
No way.
how often do you have a situation where there's not a real transaction going on, but a seller or someone who owns a house just wants to hire you? For
That happens from time to time. I'd say the majority of my work is in connection with a real estate transfer.
Yeah, sure.
But I do get calls from clients, homeowners that just want to have a checkup on their house.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt. You know,
Mhm.
obviously I have an interest in doing that. That's how I
Sure.
make my money.
Which we didn't talk about that.
But
How
a
much?
lot of people, you know, when they go to sell a house and I present my report, they're completely surprised, and they find out a lot of things they would never
Sure.
know.
No, absolutely. How much do your services cost?
It varies depending on the size and the age of the house. Generally, the average right now is somewhere north of $700.
Okay.
It's not too unreasonable.
It's kind of a
really.
bargain, but it's still a lot because people aren't ready for that.
And
Sure,
prices,
sure.
I should also mention that prices will vary depending on what inspection company you choose. You may find somebody who's less expensive. You may find somebody who's more expensive.
Do you have any 2-for-1 deals?
I think
No, just
you
kidding.
know. I think everybody out there doing what we do is aware of the value of their services.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it's not $5,000. You know,
Yeah.
of course, it may cost
Unless you
$5,000.
want it to be.
Yeah. Or it might cost $5,000 to fix the stuff you find. Before we cut to break, I want you to give out your information in case there are people who need your services.
Sure. My company name is Homestead Property Inspection Incorporated. I've been working in and around Marin since 1998, and you can find me on the web at www.marinhomeinspector.com.
Okay.
Or you can call me at 415-884-9404.
Thank you very much.
Ed Gibson.
Ed Gibson, very simple. Okay, first of all, I want to make a mention here for the Schooner Frida B. What they do is they take you underneath the Golden Gate Bridge all the way out to Point Bonita Lighthouse. Many delicious restaurants along Sausalito. They cruise around there, so you can kind of check them out. You'll learn all about the diverse ecosystems of the San Francisco Bay. A nice whole experience. Check them out at sfbayadventures.com. If you like sailing on the bay, got to check them out. sfbayadventures.com. All right, second trivia question. We're talking movie songs here. The song "Don't You Forget About Me" came from which movie? You know this one too?
Yeah.
Boy, I didn't even sing it. That's pretty good, huh? Call 888-912-1190. Answer this question. The song "Don't You Forget About Me" came from which movie? All right? And don't touch that dial. The best of the best is going to be right back. Is that you?
No. I don't know whose it is.
That's not me. I turned my phone
I'm
off.
muted.
That's me. I turned it off, and then when I took that one call, I turned it back on again. Oopers. Sorry. My fault. All right. That was segment number 2. I think it was pretty fast.
Super fast.
Yes. All right.
What do you want to go into next? I could ask another question on
Give me your
inspections.
questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Just like kind of like what tools you use, or have the tools you use, like technology, has that changed in how you do a home inspection now versus 10, 20 years
we
ago?
can talk about that.
Oh, that's
Because
good.
I'm
Okay.
curious, like can you look into the walls? Because I know there's some technology where you could
There is thermal imaging. Some
Yeah.
inspectors use that. I choose not to because it can open up a larger
can of worms.
Yeah. So, there's two kind of trains of thought. Is one, some guys like to get out there with all the gear and specialized equipment,
Mhm.
spend a lot of money on it,
Do a forensic.
Of course.
do a forensic examination. But again, the definition of a home inspection is a limited visual inspection. So when we see symptoms,
Mhm.
sure, a moisture meter,
Yeah.
a simple set of hand tools, and the knowledge, that's the main tool.
Yeah. That's what it always is the knowledge.
Right. And
User
so
experience.
to know when to recommend a specialist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ready? There Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Edward Brown here, along with Nom Fun and Patty Cohen, our special guest, Ed Gibson. Second trivia question. The song Don't You Forget About Me came from which movie?
Breakfast Club.
That is good.
Yeah,
Very
during
good.
my
Don't
teenage-
you don't
Yeah.
forget about me. There you
It
go.
was during my teen angst years. That
Yeah.
was
The
one of the
1984,
main
I
movies.
think. Yeah,
something
very,
like
very
that.
good.
Simple Minds.
All right. And boy, I get the next one's going to be even easier. All right. Let's see here. I want to make a quick mention for Dr. Love, and that's Loev. You only have 7 seconds to make a first impression. Yes, only 7. A nice smile consistently tops surveys, lists as the most memorable feature when first meeting someone. You got a nice smile. Nice smile. Everybody's got a
Use
nice
it a lot.
smile here. Check out San Francisco cosmetic dentist Dr. Love. He can help. And he's offering the first 10 individuals that contact his office complimentary dental bleaching just for coming in for a consultation. Go ahead and mention the Best of Investing or Edward Brown. Yeah, mention me. That's fine. Call him today at 415-392-2072 to schedule your appointment. Dr. Love, www.drloev.com. All right, let's see. No, I'm going to ask another question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Ed, sort of what technology do you use in home inspections, and has that changed over the last 10, 20 years?
Yeah, there have been great advances in technologies such as thermal imaging. Some guys are out there with thermal imaging cameras that can detect moisture patterns, or inspectors who do energy audits will use that type of a system to look for things like cold air infiltration or heat loss, that kind of thing. Drone surveys of properties are starting to become popular. Each of these high-tech solutions opens up potentially, though, a larger prospect of, can increase the risk for an inspector.
I can imagine a seller walking around with you going, and
we aren't without risk in this business.
No, I can't imagine, but
walk around with a target on our back sometimes. But
sometimes it sounds like it could be overkill too.
Well, yeah, and so I prefer to keep it more on the simple side, where I'm inspecting with a simple set of hand tools, a moisture meter if necessary, because the definition really is a visual and a limited visual, non-technically exhaustive inspection of the house or the component.
I could just imagine a seller telling you 2 things. One, you smell that mold, but you can make your own penicillin. And you see that asbestos up there? Well, that means the house won't catch on fire too easily, right? Turn lemons into lemonade.
But part of the making a good inspector, whether they're high tech or low tech, is knowing when to make a referral to the correct specialist.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what consumers really need to know. And it's kind of like the general practitioner, like a doctor would be.
Right.
And then he'll send you to, but that's when you talk with your realtor, or it will be recommended that you go to get a roof. Go to a roofer, go to a sewer inspector, go to a mold inspector, go to the pool inspector.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me interrupt for a second, because this goes right into our email that we have for Patty, which is, should you always get an inspection, or is it okay to buy a house without one, especially if you're in a bidding war? That's a good question.
It's a great question. Well, yeah, I mean, you always really should. I mean, some people even do it when they get a brand new home. I'm not so sure about that, but they still do. They still do.
I've found tremendous costly repairs in brand new homes.
Wow.
I was telling Ed before, my brother, that's one of his jobs that he did, was before the house was allowed to get put out to the public, he would do once over and make a list of all the defects.
The punch list,
punch
and they're there. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't advocate anybody, at very least, have a home and a pest inspection, if possible, even if it's after the close of escrow, just so you know what you have.
And again, like, usually sellers will get them.
Right.
But I mean, for example, I listed a property in this past week, and we had a conversation today where the seller is a contractor. He built the house. It's less than 10 years old. It's, 3,200 square feet, and it's probably not going to show up with anything. I mean, the buyer will often, he's a seller. So I said, you probably don't need to get an inspection, because I don't think we're going to get any surprises. A buyer will get one, but I mean, many times in our transactions, we have 2 inspectors. So yes, I mean, the answer is really a good idea to get one.
I wonder how often you have, the buyer has one, the seller has one, and there's a lot of conflict.
Fairly often, I
Yeah.
get called a lot from clients who I work with who tell me that the house has already had an inspection done, but they want my opinion as
Okay.
well.
Now, do you do your own inspection,
That
or
can
do
be
you?
just for peace of mind, or it can also be because maybe they don't really like the inspection
Yeah.
presentation.
And I guess you have to do, again, like start from scratch in order to see what the other person did.
Yeah, I don't look at the other inspectors' work. I just do my
good
own,
point.
I just do my own inspection.
Very
Come
good.
to my own conclusions.
And realtors are doing a TDS, transfer disclosure statement, so they're doing an inspection as well.
Yeah, but it's a strictly visual inspection, and we are counseled by attorneys to be careful. Like, so if there was a ceiling of some stain on that ceiling, I would not be able to say like huge stain, small stain. I would not be able to say
Origin.
the roof is leaking, the roof has leaked in the past. I would just note like grapefruit size stain on the ceiling, which was from liquid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know if it's oil or water or whatever, but I'm not an inspector. I will never pretend to be one.
Right.
That's trouble.
Yeah, I've heard a great story about an agent who got into a multi-million-dollar lawsuit down in Orange County. There was cracking around the pool patio, and there were yucca trees planted in between the patio sections. And she went on to say that there was cracking around the patio area near the pool, and she should have stopped there, but she said due to yucca trees.
Ooh, right.
Well, it turned out to be an underground soil slippage issue on a hillside down there.
Wow.
And it was a municipal drainage that had failed, and so it turned into this big deal.
Yikes.
Wow.
And of course, you know, she spent some time in court over that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, because the thing is, you walk around sidewalks and you see trees bringing up concrete all the time, and one might just automatically say, "Oh yeah, sure, it looks like
not
this."
always what meets the eye.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, you gotta be really careful as a realtor
don't-
saying
You
anything.
don't want to make
You
yourself
really,
the expert.
really do.
All right,
Yeah.
here's our third trivia question on that note. The song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" came from which movie?
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Don't say anything yet.
Okay.
All right, that's for anyone over 3 years old. All right, call 888-912-1190 if you're the first caller with the correct answer. You're going to win that tanning certificate. The song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" came from which movie? And who sang it, by the way? All right, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Going nice and fast, aren't we? Yeah. See, this is fun. No
It is,
pressure.
Yeah,
Nice and
I've
easy.
actually done this before, and I've done a couple of little TV tapings. And
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
it's kind of fun.
No
Well,
pressure.
we always try to
And I've
make it fun.
been behind a mic before.
Yeah.
Little note to self: I would never have Edward. Don't pursue inspection as a second career. Justice, your home will never burn now. This is great. What was the other one you said?
Keep your
Bold,
day
you
job.
can do your own bestseller.
Yeah.
It's called being an optimist.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
When we've got lemons, make lemonade.
That's it.
It's true. We
Well,
have to be
makes sense
so
to me.
careful what we say. I mean, because people are relying on realtors like for the
Yeah.
ultimate, what do you think?
Oh, and people hang on your every word.
Edward, I tried to make penicillin and everyone got sick.
Don't try this at home, people. All right, and then we'll move on because we have an email question.
Okay.
For you, Joe. Okay, ready?
This is good.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Patty Cohn and Nam Phan. Thank you, Ed Gibson, for being our guest. Stick around. Third trivia question, because you have to answer the trivia question. The song "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head" came from which movie?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
That
Kid.
is correct. By the way, who sang it?
I know Burt Bacharach wrote it.
Well, that's true. B.J. Thomas. But that's okay. You didn't need to answer that to win the tanning certificate. All right.
I
Nom,
didn't win.
We have a listener who called in or who wrote in trivia email question. Says, "Nom, why are you so good looking?" Oh no.
Edward, you wrote me that note.
Okay, now here's the question.
Keep that anyway.
How long do you wait to file a foreclosure if a borrower does not pay?
90 days typically. So, or file a notice of default, and then and it can depend on the type of loan, but typically it's 90 days.
Okay.
Although for Pacific Private Money, we typically don't go straight to filing a notice of default.
Okay.
We typically try and work it out with borrowers. It's really in the best interest of everyone, and that's helped us to keep our losses to zero. We've had to foreclose a number of times on properties, but out of 1,500 loans, that might have been 3 dozen times where we filed a notice, but about a dozen times where we actually have completed foreclosure and took property back.
Okay.
The point is, with private money, I mean, people come to us for different reasons. A lot of times, it's because they can't get bank financing because their credit isn't always there. Sometimes they fall behind. But ultimately, our track record is that we work with borrowers to get them to get current, but also to exit our loan, because that's in everyone's best interest. Really, our interest is getting that borrower into a short-term loan with bank financing behind them. Maybe in a year's time, but oftentimes less. So, but to answer your question, 90 days.
Okay. So, like after 30 days, you just send them a late notice?
Yeah, we start the process of following up with them, letting them know that they're behind on that payment, and then we follow up with several calls and emails, and it just escalates from there.
Okay.
And so that escalation process, hopefully by the time it gets to 90 days, they get caught up, or at least we have an idea of what their exit's going to be, or the remedy to get caught up.
And I forgot to ask you ahead of time, do you have a deal of the week?
Deal of the week, yeah. We have a couple who came to us. They are investors and they're opportunistic. So they found a property that in Guerneville that they were going to use for a B&B. And the reason why they came to us versus the bank is because, partially because they're investors. They do a lot of purchases where their portfolio has gotten to the point where banks won't lend to them.
Like they have too many in the portfolio?
Too many properties, and they want to use a lot of those properties as equity towards the purchase. So
additional cross collateral. Okay.
Yep. So this was a $1.1 million purchase, and we made them a loan of 60% combined loan to value. I think we crossed actually a couple of other properties that they owned.
Okay.
So then they were going to convert it into like an Airbnb, and then with that rental income, refinance eventually into conventional long term.
How will they do that if they still own a lot of property?
I think they're planning to sell a couple of properties
gotcha.
to pay us down and then refinance the rest.
Because otherwise they still have the problem of having too many properties.
Yes, yeah, in this case. But on the purchase side, typically, we get a lot of investors who will purchase just because they met that max that they with banks. So.
And what are you charging these borrowers?
And this one we're charging them 9.5%.
Okay.
So.
And is this going in the fund, or is this individual people who are?
I think this was an individual taking it.
Okay.
So.
All right. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So you have a roughly 60% loan to value.
67%.
67%. Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's great.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Earning 9.5%.
Earning 9.5%.
9.5%.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Not bad. Good investment if we get money.
Yeah. How do people, if they're interested, well, that one sounds like it's already gone.
It's already gone, but
you have typical ones like that.
Yeah, typical ones, you can call us, 415-883-2150, or you can go to pacificprivatemoney.com, or better yet, go to privatemoneyloans.com, which is our marketplace for trustee investing.
Okay. But you also have a fund.
And we have a fund, the Pacific Private Money Fund, which is paying about 7.5% annualized return. You can take monthly distributions. You do have to be accredited, which is $1 million net worth, and the minimum is $50,000 to invest. And 1 year hold too.
1 year hold, and that $1 million is exclusive of their home.
Yes.
Very good.
Oh, one other thing to add too is we have our next fund event, April 24th in Marin. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to do it at our office, or we're looking for a place in Santa Fe to hold it as well. So more to come. But if you want to come to Marin, it's April 24th, which is a Wednesday. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. We haven't done one in a while, so excited to get back to.
I think you've been having people knock on the door asking about it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of walk-ins lately.
Yeah, so that means people asking about, when are you going to have your next event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it going to be on Grant? Because I have a few people that I can tell.
It's either going to be on Grant, or we may actually have it in Santa Fe. We're looking at a location.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
We'll let you know. April 24th, everyone.
Very good. And they can just email you to register?
Yes, they can email us, and actually on our website soon, in about 2 weeks, we'll have an events page.
Oh, good.
So people will be able to register directly on our website.
Perfect.
So, more to come.
PacificPrivateMoney.com.
Yep.
Patty, what's going on in real estate?
Real estate's hot. It took a while to get for the year to get going because it's been raining and winter and depressing.
Good point.
Yeah. So spring is the 21st. Basically, spring started Tuesday.
this week.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've got like each, everybody's waiting for like, where are those new listings? And they're still going over asking. It's still crazy, but it has tempered and it's more of a balanced market. It's going to continue that way. The gentle waves of 5 to 7 years we have of buyer and seller markets. We're waving into more of a buyer's market, but I mean, we're not there yet. We're still getting way over asking. It's still strong.
You're still getting out over asking.
Way
Wow.
over asking. But at the
Really?
same time, things are sitting and you see price reductions. That's because sellers price their properties at kitchen tables. Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah.
But it's up to the agent to guide them as
And it's
to
true.
what's appropriate.
It's
right?
true. But sometimes, they just want to take a shot, which is not a good idea.
I know, that's the thing. You think, oh, I can always lower it, but
Yeah.
if it's just too long, it gets stale, then it kind of goes in the wayside.
It gets
Another
tainted
good
fast.
reason to have a home inspection as a seller is to kind of aid you in your price point decision.
Yeah, it's
Well,
true.
that's a good point. So even though you don't talk about price per se, you may say, well, you know what, this will need a new roof in the next 2 years, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you take those inspections, Patty, and build them into the sales price or the list price? Like
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
And its pricing is so nebulous sometimes too.
Yeah.
We say we do.
Sure.
It depends. I mean,
it must be harder for some of the higher priced homes though,
yeah,
because that's such a subjective
Yeah.
value.
exactly.
Or the older ones
Yeah.
that need a lot of work, but the land's worth a lot.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of
Exactly.
tricky.
Tear
Very, very
downs
tricky.
and, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Yes, that's right. Well, we don't have a trivia question, so we've got an extra 15 seconds. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we will cut to another commercial break. We already asked all of our trivia questions. You guys got them all right. That was very good.
100%. You guys, good
100%.
job.
Not bad. As a collective team, you should all go on Jeopardy as one person. All right. Don't touch that dial. The best of investing is going to be right back with some closing comments.
That's so funny. I never do this, and today I am.
What's that? Oh, I know.
Come on. I see him do that, and I'm like, I do that. Oh, humans are funny creatures.
We are, aren't we?
Segment number 4.
So did you suddenly get busy from the nice weather?
No, actually, for some reason, I was off out of town for the last 2 weeks of December, first 2 weeks of January. As soon as I got back on January 15th, it's been full-time, more than full-time. I think as of today, in 8 weeks, I've done roughly 70
I may have my own
inspections.
foreclosure.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
70
Doing what?
inspections.
Well, I've got this
Wow.
property that
So
is
that's
going to sale April,
Plus
80.
Probably
weather.
30 in
I'm
February,
aware.
looking at
Yeah.
40 for this
and
month.
it's in
It's
Petaluma,
an awful lot of work.
and
How
it's
far out
you
are
know
you
how
booked?
D Street goes
Right
out
now, like the
before you hit the
26.
San Antonio
Holy cow.
Road.
Yeah.
So
How many
it's
days?
56 acres. It's got its own pond,
I like doing
Small
two.
house is
I want to do
900
8 a
square
week
feet.
all
Oh.
year.
and it's
Yeah.
got a couple of barns
Take a month
and
off
stuff like that.
over the year.
And I'll
Yeah.
be into it for
Right,
I've been
this
into it
week
about
I'm doing
900.
12 inspections, so I'm
So,
working Saturdays,
you know,
two a day.
What
I
do you
actually,
think it's?
one today, I
I
did 3
think it's
yesterday.
more than that,
Wow,
but
that's
you know,
great.
It's a lot of work.
the thing
That
is,
is.
someone wants to buy
14,
a
16
small
hour days.
900
Yeah.
square foot house.
That's a lot of work.
But
Yeah.
the taxes are low because I think it's a Williamson Act.
Yeah, I
As
know
I
what
say.
it is.
But that
Well,
doesn't mean
also-
too much because it's one house per 60 acres.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, there's not that much of a limitation on the house of one of foreclosure that I have.
Yeah.
But I think I have to check the septic system
Yeah.
and the well to see how big a house it'll support.
Yeah. I
That'll
mean,
be
because you
the
could
main
always change the septic too, but you definitely have to
But
do a
that thing,
perk test.
doesn't that cost a few $100,000?
It can.
For
Where
septic?
is it?
Petaluma,
Petaluma.
56 acres, a small house. Yeah, and not subdividable.
No.
Hmm.
But it's
Interesting.
not that far from downtown though. It's right off of D Street.
Somebody could probably want to build a dream home there.
That's what I'm thinking. You know, it's got a barn. It had animals, but I think he probably sold all the animals. Hopefully,
Wait,
he
this
didn't drain
one
the
you had?
fish.
Or
Yeah, drain the fish out of the
Or
pond. Yeah,
This is one that you.
yeah, I have. April 8th is the date sale.
Hmm.
I mean, before the borrower was great in communication, and I just tried him one time, and I hadn't heard from him. I go, you know what? At this point, I really best not to contact him.
What do you think the properties will go for?
Hopefully, I don't think I'll get outbid.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll bid my 850 or whatever I'm owed.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to end up with it, and then got to figure out what to do with it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So we'll see. My dream home, a dilapidated two bedroom, 1 bath, 900 square foot house. Yeah,
Wait, how big is the property again?
It's
56 acres. It's got its own. It's got a huge pond. You
Amazing.
can walk up. It's got a
Oh,
lot of fish in
I
it.
think I know the property you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's right there on D Street.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 That's too
Go
bad.
down
One of
deep,
these
right, left
days,
hand.
I would. That's where I'd want to move to at some point.
Really?
Yeah, I would love to have a property like that.
Well, let's talk.
I know,
I'll sell it to
seriously.
you. Yeah, get a good price on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Give you a deal on inspection.
Yeah, there you go. 56 acres though. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna start on this corner. 3 days later.
Yeah.
That's a lot of grass.
Yeah, I think you might
need some sheep.
You ever look at an inspection, you go, yeah, here's my inspection, tear the whole thing down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of times where I've graciously declined the inspection because of just the overall condition has been so poor. Maybe twice.
Let's ask that.
But do you do that when you get there?
I did a couple. I have a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably twice in 7,000 inspections.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Anything else after we kind of
Yeah.
talk about that? What else do you want to talk about?
Let's see. What are we talking
What do we
about?
have
Make sure I
left?
get this.
Yeah,
5
minutes.
Well,
Probably have like-
4 minutes.
Oh, right.
Okay,
4 minutes.
we can give our information. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't
Oh, that's
chatted-
right. I'm sorry.
had a chance to chat
Sorry
to us.
about that. Yeah.
What else?
Okay, so we're doing an event
April 24th,
April 24th, 6 to 10.
6 to 8.
I thought you said 6 to 10.
6 to 8.
I don't know about you, but I'm leaving at 8.
I know. Well, Mark can talk.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no shortage of words there.
Mhm.
All right. Let me see. Let me get this. It's still going strong there. All right. Okay. What give out info. Okay, we'll go back to inspection. Thinking about how often you see dilapidated house.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we give out your information.
Yeah.
And what
And
else?
then I was just thinking, did we talk off air about how you need us going to a specialist, or was that on air? I'm so confused.
It was
Like,
on.
It was
It was
on.
on
Okay.
there,
yeah.
All right.
What else can we talk about?
Um,
Anything real estate market wise? I mean, you started talking about how busy
Yeah.
it suddenly got, but anything else?
Maybe.
Oh,
if
Compass that bought Alon Panel.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because that shifts the whole Bay Area.
Yeah, it does.
Were they that big?
Alon Panel in the South Bay.
It's out there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're like 7th largest in the country in sales volume.
They're huge now.
Wow.
Dollar
Huge.
volume.
Well, I didn't realize that. Okay, ready? Here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Nam Fawn, Patty Cohen, and our special guest, Ed Gibson. No, I know you want to ask Ed. We were talking about this off air. Ask him on the air now.
Yeah, any properties where you walked up and said, "No, this is not worth
Here's
it."
the inspection. Tear it down.
Yeah, a very small percentage. There have been a couple of homes which, for various reasons of just overall generally poor condition, sometimes unsanitary conditions, where I have graciously declined the job.
We just charge him half price.
There,
Say, here's my report. Tear down the house.
There was one where I said, I'm happy to come back and inspect at a later date, but you may want to talk to a structural engineer first.
Mm.
And that
That's a very nice way.
might preclude you from needing my services.
House kind of tilting a little bit.
Yeah, and then there are also sometimes components or areas of a home which I just had one the other day out in Peacock Gap where the crawl space was really littered with a lot of rodent debris. Plastic vapor barrier was covered with water, insulation, and rodent droppings. So I declined to inspect at that time.
Yeah, you don't want to get diseased yourself.
So
How often do you bring a marble with you to see if things are level?
I have a marble.
Yeah, it's a
Really?
marble.
Still have one.
Do you? Yeah, because
Lucky marble.
I unfortunately I have all my marbles, but I've walked into houses where I've said something doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
and then finally the realtor had a marble and said, yeah, this is the reason.
Yeah, I'm pretty sensitive to the sloping floors. I grew up on a sailboat partially, so I know what that's like, but I can feel it.
Okay, and I'm sorry.
Well, one last question. Do you ever walk into a house that you knew was empty, and then you walk in and you hear this, "Get out"?
I swear I have been in haunted houses.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Very cool.
Next segment.
Patty, give out your information, and then there was another announcement you wanted to make.
Oh, yeah. So I'm Patty Cohen. I'm with Compass Real Estate, and my number is 415-722-4842. I do listings all over the Bay Area, but 90% of it is Marin County.
Okay.
So Compass this week bought Alon Pinnell. So depending on where you live, who's that? But if you're in the South Bay, Alon Pinnell is very, very strong in the South Bay. Very strong in Marin too. And so Compass is close to being the biggest real estate company in the country.
Is it Berkshire Hathaway?
No,
they're still small. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest?
I actually don't know.
The
Maybe Coldwell Banker.
Realty Group, which
Yeah.
owns Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
They have like 300,000 agents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But different, and there's
brands,
different companies within that.
Yeah.
So last July, they bought Paragon, which is the biggest in San Francisco.
Okay.
Then this past fall, Pacific Union, which is where I was,
Yeah.
and now Alon Pinnell. So we've got it covered. And the stated goal of it, Compass is a quote technology firm, which is sort of unclear, but the stated goal. I mean, they only started in 2012,
Mhm.
and
Amazing.
yeah, and then last year like doubled. And the stated goal was to have be in the 20% market share in the top 20 markets by 2020. So with all those 20s, they were just throwing that number out, and
Yeah.
guess what? They're on track.
Yeah.
You gotta have a lot of money for that, though.
Find their way into the market. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the strategy that's working out for them.
Soon there'll be a monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Then the FCC or FTC or some government agency will say, "Hey, you can't do that." Of course, it's always willing buyer, willing seller for, prices and commissions and all that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few lawsuits already.
All right. Well, Ed Gibson, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And Nom, give out your information one more time.
Yeah, our phone number at Pacific Private Money is 415-883-2150. Website is www.pacificprivatemoney.com.
All right. Here's our thoughts for the day. You can never make the same mistake twice because the second time you make it, it's not a mistake. It's a choice. All right.
That's how old you are.
Yeah, I forgot it. Did I make that mistake once before?
Exactly.
And be happy always because it is right. Don't allow others to steal your rights. And with
Very
that
nice.
sappy thought, with that encouraging thought, we're going to say we're going to exit. And we're going to say tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free prizes for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. Wishing you the best of investing. So long.
Woohoo! Hey, that reminds me of like making the same joke twice. Like, fool me wrong. My dad used to say,
Yeah.
"Do me wrong once, shame on you. Do me wrong twice, shame on me."
I saw that on Gomer Pyle one time.
But can you
Was
imagine-
that?
I heard that on Gomer Pyle one time.
It's great. But
fact, you know what
somehow
I
it doesn't
realized?
work with your kids.
The one reason to keep headphones on is because you can't hear yourself like if
Right.
you're
Right.
so if you accidentally do this you wouldn't know it and so I'm having to kind of play with this
Okay.
because sometimes it's loud sometimes it's
Okay.
loud. That's
It's really not that bad. I mean, I wondered a couple times, is this even on?
yeah.
Did I?
Just
You know,
things all over the place. Thank
I
you.
took this extension cord, and that's when it went.
I love
Is that
Yeah,
right?
so,
Okay.
You know what?
Thank you very much.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Ted?
I'm happy to come back anytime.
Sure.
Just give me a shout.
Yeah, that's
We always have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like the horror stories. Those are always fun.
So you said there was a haunted house. You've been in a haunted house?
I've been in a couple of places where I've felt something,
Some
a
presents.
presence, or a
Like
door
your
will
mind, yeah.
shut, and it's there's no wind, or and
That's wild.
certainly I've been in hundreds of houses where there had been a decedent. Somebody had died in the house.
And was that the reason for the sale?
A lot of them. I'm doing a lot of homes our parents' generation they're all leaving us.
That's
now.
true.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
think about
I've
the
done-
life cycle of Marin, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in Mill Valley, and in the last 2 years, I've probably done 10 inspections of homes that childhood friends or schoolmates lived in
Wow.
around Mill Valley.
Wow.
And their
Well,
parents are
yeah, now I think about it, the house next to me, there was a suicide many years ago in a little attached unit, so to speak.
Mhm.
And then the husband died 5 years. I mean, he was in his 90s, and the woman, the wife, just died.
Yikes.
And she's in her, she was 95. But again,
Normal.
they're in the 90s, just
Well,
getting.
you know Bob Hoffman.
Yeah.
Well, Bob has a story. he says he was in a house and he was doing his exterior survey of the house. He's a pest inspector. And
Married to B. Hoffman, right? His wife was B. Hoffman.
I don't know.
What's his first name?
Robert.
I don't know.
Robert. Again, go ahead.
Yeah.
He went to San Rafael High.
Huh.
He came back around the corner and the owner was there, and the owner looked at him and he was just white as a sheet. And Bob said to this owner, he says, do you have a dog, a golden retriever? And the guy who looked at him like, I had a golden retriever. He passed away 6 months ago. But Bob had seen this dog in the yard, and it was like goosebumps.
Oh man.
And he said, the owner said, God, you're white as a sheet.
Wow.
You're unbelievable. So yeah,
That's some wild stuff.
a
Wow.
lot of that kind of stuff going around.
Well,
But,
that was fun.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Good to see you. I'll
You
look
too.
out.
All right.
Have a
See
great
you guys.
one.
Yeah, you too. Have a great weekend.
Thanks again. Bye, Pat. Good. I'll tune in
Bye-bye.
Saturday.
Yes. So what's the good word?
Just busy. We just got hammered trying to just this week we got like 9 million loans.
9 million?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to help Rick out on this one where at first it's like, but then when I got more information, it's like, okay, now this is a deal. So I'm trying to put a few people together to take it down, baby.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what do you think about Bart? Did I do a good job negotiating?
I think that sounds like a
That was pretty good, actually. That's especially for HD out. It should be.
Yeah. I think it's worth trying,
I would think so.
considering
I mean, we don't, we do it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Which, you got to get some traction anyway.
Right.
We pay it up front, and then
yeah. I think Mark would probably
Well, here's the other thing. We get Chip Franklin to do it, and we get to go into the studio, meet him, do the thing like we did with Gil.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Because he's local. I mean,
right. And Chip's as well known as Gil, if
Yeah.
not better, right?
and KGO is bigger than
Yeah.
KSF.
KGO is kind
And
of
this is
like
drive time. Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
commercials throughout, but then he'll do the live during
Yeah.
just like what Gil did. And he does the same thing. He'll sometimes go 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I would be a proponent of it. Just worth trying for 6 months, compare relative to what we've spent on other stuff. Or
that's kind of what I was thinking.
So-
It's not tremendously.
Yeah. I think I know Mark. He probably just hasn't even looked that closely at the emails yet.
Okay.
So I don't think it's no, we don't want to do this. I think it's just top of mind awareness. So yeah, I'll mention it tomorrow when I see it.
Okay.
So let's do it.
All right.
All right, Mr. Brown.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate.
Yeah, you're welcome. So nice. I'm gonna go for background right now.
Oh, you lucky guy. All righty. We're going to cut out here pretty soon. We've got a couple of minutes, but I think we can fill it with something else. We'll let station do that. So we're going to cut out.